April 30th, 2016. And Chuck Norris is now come out reporting on geoengineering, chemtrail spraying. We know there's ongoing geoengineering programs, black projects by our government, private contractors, the weather modification scientists, geoengineering scientists playing God with our planet's weather. Here's Chuck Norris, the famous martial artist, take on it. I applaud him for coming forward. We need more famous people coming forward and speaking up about the poisoning of our skies, of our air, land, and water. Let's get into this article written by Chuck Norris on WorldNet Daily. Sky Criminals exclusive. Chuck Norris examines geoengineering in skies above us. Country legend Merle Haggard, who died of a lung infection, double pneumonia, on April 6, sang in his song What I Hate is looking up and seeing chemtrails in a clear blue sky. And we've done a report about that in a tribute to Merle Haggard, pointing this out. Continuing, several months ago, I wrote a column titled, Chuck Norris wrote a column titled, Why Are Geoengineering Researchers Being Stonewalled? In it, Chuck Norris gave an array of evidence from scientists that geoengineering and specifically covert chemtrailing is taking place in the skies above us and unbeknownst to us. For those who are unfamiliar with the subject and stratospheric lunacy, let me reiterate a few definitions. Geoengineering is the artificial modification of Earth's climate systems through two primary technologies: solar radiation management, or SRM, and carbon dioxide removal, or CDR. CDR technologies include bioenergy with carbon capture and storage, biochar, direct air capture, ocean fertilization, and enhancement weathering. According to Wikipedia, SRM, or solar radiation management technologies, seek to reflect sunlight and thus reduce global warming. Proposed examples include the creation of stratospheric sulfate aerosols. Stratospheric sulfate aerosols create a global dimming effect that has made them a possible candidate for use in solar radiation management climate engineering projects to limit the effect and impact of climate change due to rising levels of greenhouse gases, delivery of precursor sulfite gases such as sulfuric acid, hydrogen sulfate, or sulfur dioxide by artillery, aircraft, and balloons has been proposed. Chemtrailing is the public's term for the classified covert and ongoing artificial modification of Earth's climate systems using reflective nanomaterials, aerosols, to reflect sunlight. The aerosols are dispersed via jet aircraft trails that expand into reflective artificial clouds. Sarah Zelinsky, an award-winning scientist, writer, and editor, wrote a piece in December 2015 for the Smithsonian titled, Airplane Contrails May Be Creating Accidental Geoengineering. In the article, Zelinsky explained geoengineering involves the manipulation of an environmental process in such a way, usually deliberate, that it affects the Earth's climate. She went on to cite Charles Long from the NOAA's Earth System Research Laboratory in Boulder, Colorado, who reported at a press conference this past week at the American Geophysical Union fall meeting in San Francisco. This haze is caused by airplanes, and it is gradually whitening blue skies. We might be actually conducting some unintentional geoengineering here. Many other scientists would say, as we shall see in a moment, intentional geoengineering. Long went on to explain, its existence demonstrates yet another way that humans might be altering the climate, and you can see this with your own eyes. I know because my wife Gina and I have seen it in the skies over our Texas ranch. Kevin Trowbreath of the National Center for Atmospheric Research concluded it seems quite possible that Long is seeing something that's real. Long still calls the haze a mystery, but at the moment primarily blames air traffic exhaust and other aerosols as the most likely culprits of those particles. But is the origin of it also unintentional and innocent? Or are there deliberate sky criminals who are also chemtrailing above us with other chemical agents? Long himself is puzzled how certain areas around the country, like one in Oklahoma, have significant sky whitening, yet don't get as much known air traffic. When Snoops was investigating the recent accusations that NASA was spraying lithium, the anti-matic psychiatric medication, lithium, the anti-manic psychiatric medication into the atmosphere and hence onto Americans, the liberal fact-finding website even had to confess that buried among the tinfoil were a few actual facts. It was true that a 2003 study examined the feasibility of mass vaccination by air. Amazing. Continuing. The actual 2003 abstract from the National Center for Biotechnology Information in CBI, a part of the U.S. federal government's National Library of Medicine, a branch of the National Institutes of Health, reads, the feasibility of using aerosol vaccines to achieve mass and rapid immunization, especially in developing countries and disaster areas, is being assessed on the basis of current available information. The aerosol mode of vaccine introduction, which best follows the natural route of many infections, may first lead to the development of immunity at the portal of entry and may also induce a more generalized defense. The recommended optimum way of introducing an aerosol vaccine is nasal breathing, which is more suitable for geriatric and pediatric populations, permits use of greater antigen volumes, and allows easier monitoring of results. Technical requirements for ideal aerosol vaccines and delivery systems, possible adverse effects, and cost effectiveness are other issues addressed. Several thousand human subjects have been aerosol vaccinated over a period of many years in Russia with live immunized strains against many diseases. Extensive field trials in South America with aerosolized live immunized measles vaccine have also been successful, and excellent results have been reported, while pilot projects employing inactive or live immunized aerosol influenza A vaccine. We conclude that aerosol immunization seems a promising method of vaccination. Although some basic information is still lacking, this method has already been used successfully in large populations and has therefore passed the phase of initial feasibility evaluation. Amazing. It's already been done. Continuing. Over the past 13 years since the study, does anyone think it's possible that such mass vaccinations or immunizations have occurred by air in trial locations in the United States? How many plane dropping chemical cocktails have already been sprayed around the world in the name of securing public health? When the heads of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention publicly sound the alarm that the Zika virus is scarier than we initially thought, and the mosquito transmission ranges have increased from 12 states to 30 in just weeks, does anyone think there's discussion of the NCBI 2003 study? Whatever the intent or justification, and whether or not the purpose is for mass vaccinations or some other devious plot, if you believe there's some smoke screening in the sky trails above you, I have a London Bridge to sell you in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. If you don't believe it, of course we believe it, Chuck Norris, because we have eyes to see. Continuing, supreme among the evidence for the smoke and mirrors is the skies above us and the halls of Washington is the work of Dr. J. Marvin Herndon, an American interdisciplinary scientist who earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in physics in 1970 from the University of California, San Diego, and his PhD in nuclear chemistry in 1974 from Texas A&M University. Herndon wrote an article that was reviewed and published on August 11, 2015, in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, titled Evidence of Coal Fly Ash Toxic Chemical Geoengineering in the Troposphere Consequences for Public Health. Again, the abstract from the article says it all. The widespread, intentional, and increasingly frequent chemical emplacement in the troposphere has gone unidentified and unremarked in the scientific literature for years. The author presents evidence that toxic coal combustible fly ash is the most likely aerosol particulate sprayed by tanker jets for geoengineering, weather modification, and climate modification purposes, and describes some of the manifold consequences on public health. Two methods are employed: compression of 8 elements analyzed in rainwater leached from aerosol particulates with corresponding elements leached into water from coal fly ash in published laboratory experiments, and compression of 14 elements analyzed in dust collected outdoors on a highly efficient particulate air HEPA filter with corresponding elements analyzed in unleached coal fly ash material. The results show the assemblage of elements in rainwater and in the corresponding experimental leachate are essentially identical at 99% confidence interval. They have identical means t-test and identical variance f-test, and the assemblage of elements in the HEPA dust and in corresponding average unleached coal fly ash are likewise essentially identical. The consequences on public health are profound, including exposure to a variety of toxic heavy metals, radioactive elements, and neurologically implicated chemically mobile aluminum released by body moisture in situ after inhalation or through transdental induction. Wow, that's a mouthful. Continuing. Interestingly, on September 2nd, 2015, just weeks after it was published, Dr. Herndon's entire 16-page scientific article was suddenly and completely redacted from the journal based upon only 2 chemical composition questions and an overreaching explanation with no further explanation than this. The language of the paper is often not sufficiently scientific objective for a research article. Really? It's time again to wake up, America. It's not Shakespeare, but something is definitely rotten in the state of Denmark. Or, as another music legend, Prince, who just recently passed away this last week, sang in his song Dreamer, while the helicopter circles us, this theory's getting deep. Think they're spraying chemicals over the city while we sleep? For now on, I'm staying awake, and you can call me a dreamer to wake up, wake up. Amazing. A lot of information in that article. Thank you, Chuck Norris, for doing the research and bringing this to light. Do your own research about geoengineering, chemtrail spraying. It's going on. Subscribe to this channel, speak out, and take action. Hello, friends. This is Sam Cheney reporting for WeaponizedNews.com. Today's April 30th, 2016. And Chuck Norris is now come out reporting on geoengineering, chemtrail spraying. We know there's ongoing geoengineering programs, black projects by our government, private contractors, the weather modification scientists, geoengineering scientists playing God with our planet's weather. Here's Chuck Norris, the famous martial artist, take on it. I applaud him for coming forward. We need more famous people coming forward and speaking up about the poisoning of our skies, of our air, land, and water. Let's get into this article written by Chuck Norris on WorldNet Daily. Sky Criminals exclusive. Chuck Norris examines geoengineering in skies above us. Country legend Merle Haggard, who died of a lung infection, double pneumonia, on April 6, sang in his song What I Hate is looking up and seeing chemtrails in a clear blue sky. And we've done a report about that in a tribute to Merle Haggard, pointing this out. Continuing, several months ago I wrote a column titled, Chuck Norris wrote a title a column titled, "Why Are Geoengineering Researchers Being Stonewalled?" In it, Chuck Norris gave an array of evidence from scientists that geoengineering and specifically covert chemtrailing is taking place in the skies above us and unbeknownst to us. For those who are unfamiliar with the subject and stratospheric lunacy, let me reiterate a few definitions. Geoengineering is the artificial modification of Earth's climate systems through two primary technologies: solar radiation management